Well, what's going on, everybody? I know I said I wasn't going to be going live tonight, but I feel like I kind of have an obligation to do so today. Oh, God, let me just remove this for now. Because I made a video earlier today and I was talking about, obviously, I went to the dentist today, so I wasn't quite sure if I was going to be doing a live stream, but I am, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But I made a video earlier today where I talked about January 6th, right? And I realized I got a lot of the points across that I wanted to, but not as eloquently as I wanted to. So I decided that I'll try to go live now before Tucker Carlson does his second release of videos tonight. But first, I want to remind everybody that this episode is sponsored by switch2america.com. Listen, everybody has products in your house, cleaning products, vitamins, beef, right? Can you imagine if the products that you used every single day were made in America? Now, I know a lot of the products that you buy online may say that they're made in America, but a lot of those companies that manufacture those products are actually owned by foreign entities like China. And that's truth. A huge portion of the beef and pork that's supplied in this country is owned by the Chinese. It's insane. But anyway, go to switch2america.com. Fill out the form there. Make sure you say that Steve Oatley was the one who referred you, and then someone will contact you, and you can do this survey and list all the products that you currently use, and then they could tell you how you could buy those same or the equivalent for cheaper and from American companies. It's a pretty awesome company. I'm really excited to be working with them. So go over to switch2america.com and make the switch. Buy American. Do it. Anyway, man, it's this whole thing is just crazy. Also, we're running a 20% off store or a 20% off sale in our store all day. You don't need to do anything. Just scan the link, go, and it's 20% off all of our coffee, hoodies, t-shirts, patches. Every single thing that we have in the store is 20% off. All right. So let's talk a little bit, because I know I pissed off a lot of you guys, and I tend to do that a lot. I pissed off a lot of you earlier today with my commentary on January 6th. Now, I'm going to start by framing this in a particular way for you, because I think that it will be easier to understand my perspective on January 6th if you do it this way. Now, many of you guys found my channel, even though I've been doing, YouTube and all that stuff for a long time. You found my channel because of my coverage of the riots in 2020. I covered them ad nauseum, for hours and hours and hours. Every single night, I stayed up live and we covered what was really happening in this country. Now, it's not something that everybody can stomach, right? But it's something that we watched. Now, imagine every single day that we watched in disgust as people were out protesting during the day, the peaceful marches that were happening throughout the day, and at night they fell into violence, right? They attacked the Portland Police Bureau. They attacked the Portland ICE building. They attacked the Denver ICE building with fireworks. They attacked police officers in New York City. They protested in Tampa and did all these, where hundreds of them flooded into stores and looted and stole everything. They protested. They took over, several city blocks in Seattle, Washington. Now, everybody has the universal condemnation of that, right? Or at least the people on the right have that universal condemnation of what we saw there, right? It was riots. It was horrible. It was bad. Nobody liked it. Like, you know what I mean? They were insurrectionists. They were rioters, right? Now, imagine, and so my question here is namely for the people that disagree with my view on January 6th. If you were watching those people, and instead of Black Lives Matter flags, they were dressed in patriotic clothing and carrying American flags, would you still call them patriots? My guess is that for the majority of you, you would not. You would call them what they were, rioters, right? For some reason, a lot of people on the right it's like we're oblivious to the truth of what happened on January 6th for a variety of reasons. One, the mainstream media has a great responsibility in why everybody believes the way they do, right? Because mainstream media didn't want to focus on the fact that there was a major programming issue or not programming. There was a major push to blame everything on Donald Trump, to talk about how everybody that was in DC on January 6th, no matter where you were, no matter if you were anywhere near the Capitol, if you were in DC on January 6th, you are lumped together with the rioters. Now, again, if you pay attention to how the coverage of 2020 happened, and everyone can argue it's hypocritical, right? Everyone can say, well, the reason why mainstream media doesn't compare the riots in 2022 or 2020 to what happened on January 6th is because, well, they're different, right? There were peaceful people. Well, I've got news for you. January 6th was largely peaceful until it wasn't. Okay, and that's largely what the BLM protests were like. They were protests. They were protests until they weren't anymore, and they became riots. They were First Amendment protected speech until they weren't, when they were burning down buildings and attacking courthouses and all that stuff. The thing that I think a lot of people want, and maybe I'm just like, I'm seeing it on social media, and I don't understand how people can argue that it wasn't a riot on January 6th, I'm saying, because we all know, we all saw it was a riot on January 6th. Was it an insurrection? If you want to call it an insurrection, then you must call when people are attacking the immigration system, when they're attacking the buildings, you must call that an insurrection. If you want to call January 6th an insurrection merely because they attacked our democracy, they attacked a federal building, then you have to say that every night in Portland there was an insurrection. If you want to say that that was an insurrection, every time that people attacked police throughout the United States, when they attacked police cars, when they attacked police officers, when, that one police officer that was hit in the head with a brick when Jacob Blake was shot, then that would be an insurrection, right? Because they attacked police who were federally funded, i.e. part of our democracy. And I know I'm looking at everything on a much larger scale. But that's why when mainstream media focuses on the buzzwords of insurrection, that's why so many people on the right are like, well, okay, they're lying. Because if they want to call that an insurrection, why didn't they call everything that happened in 2020 an insurrection? Because we all saw what happened in 2020. And a lot of people don't make a distinguish. It's not different to them that people were attacking a federal courthouse versus attacking the Capitol. It's not any different. And to be honest, it's not any different for me. And that's why I have such a hardline approach to what happened on January 6th. Because I saw with my own eyes, we covered it live, I saw patriots acting violently towards police officers. I saw police officers acting violently towards patriots. I saw peaceful protesters bludgeoned by officers. I saw peaceful protesters bludgeoned by other protesters. I saw peaceful protesters getting slammed. They had nowhere to go. We all watched it live where they were shooting pepper balls into the middle of the crowd 100 yards away. They're shooting pepper balls, the police were. I saw patriots break windows of the Capitol and storm that building. Those are not peaceful protesters. The ones who broke down windows, the ones who were throwing punches at cops, the ones that were, pepper spraying cops, they are not peaceful protesters. They are rioters. They are not insurrectionists either. It doesn't meet the definition of insurrection. You could try to say they're seditionists, but it, again, doesn't meet the definition of that. Because in all reality, if they were in fact trying to overthrow the government, they would have been armed. We wouldn't have reports of people up in trees with long guns. We would have video of people up in trees with long guns. We wouldn't have reports of people with handguns. We heard that during the January 6th thing. They were like, we have armed individuals walking towards blah, 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 while president's giving a speech. Are you telling me with 100% certainty that, or with any certainty whatsoever, that if the Secret Service, they were communicating while President Trump was speaking that there were armed people by President Trump, and you're telling me they wouldn't package him up and take him away? Well, I would say to you at that point, then every Secret Service agent there must be investigated because they were trying to have the president killed. That's why I firmly believe that all of the arguments about guns being present on January 6th, about sentries up in the trees, and all these things that we heard during the January 6th committee were completely and utterly bullshit. We watched it live. We watched it live. We had camera crews there. None of them saw any armed sentries in trees, as they reported. They tried to show a video of someone up in a tree, except he wasn't armed. So they were playing a guy up in a tree while they're playing radio transmission. This is during the January 6th committee meeting. They're playing a radio transmission over another video that didn't even take place at the same time, saying that there are men in trees with long guns, which we all know now was false. But I have to remind everybody, pretending that January 6th was a peaceful protest is the wrong way to go about it. It is fueling the fire of the left, and it is continuous. It's continuing this never-ending saga about January 6th. It is literally how they did what they did in the election. It is literally in the midterms. Look what they did with the midterms. They used everybody. Anyone that Donald Trump endorsed, they said they were insurrectionists. Anyone that was a GOP or a Republican, they said they were insurrectionists. Hell, all you had to do is say you were in DC. You didn't even have to go, and then you'd have people outside protesting outside your home. We had people that worked for us that weren't even in DC on January 6th that had FBI agents show up to their home because people called and said they were at January 6th. The truth of the matter is you can't pretend that January 6th wasn't a riot. Okay, we can all, and even if you're on the left, even if you disagree with what I'm saying now, you have to understand that the reason why so many people on the right are not willing to even say that it's a riot is because, and it's wrong. It's 100% wrong. The reason why, hold on, I'm just blocking someone because we have a fake person on Facebook. The reason why people on the right are hesitant to say it was a riot, or people on the right were hesitant to talk about the violence, is the same reason that people on the left were hesitant or refused to say that the riots that happened all across the country in 2020 were riots. And the reason they don't want to do that is because they didn't want to lump everybody together, right? Because if you say it was a riot and you say that there were no peaceful protesters, which is what the left is trying to do as it relates to January 6th, nobody's doing that when it comes to 2020. The people that were marching up and down the roads during the day in 2020, in the summer of love or whatever they tried to call it, those people were practicing their First Amendment speech. I don't agree with blocking roadways or anything like that, but they were practicing their First Amendment speech. They weren't, beating up cops or attacking courthouses or doing any of that. That stuff all happened at night. Imagine, and I understand that a lot of people would say, well, if you're marching down the street saying Black Lives Matter, then you are a rioter. It's one and the same. But in all reality, it's not. The disconnect by many people on the right versus what's going on with January 6th is that the media is portraying the entire day as the insurrection. They are portraying everybody that was in DC that day as an insurrectionist. And that's simply not true. The majority of the people, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, thousands of people, tens of thousands of people, were not anywhere near the Capitol. They had already left once there were reports of violence. And again, the violence was starting at the Capitol while Donald Trump, right as he was taking the stage to give his speech. It makes it easy just to say, well, okay, we know everything about January 6th. But the problem is, and the reason why so many people are up in arms now about what's gone on with January 6th and so passionate about it, is because we've been told lies over and over and over about the actual day. Mainstream media has conditioned us to believe that anybody that was in DC on January 6th was a rioter. Mainstream media has conditioned us to believe that it was the worst day in our democracy. Mainstream media simply refuses to acknowledge the riots that happened in 2020. So that's why there's this disconnect between the right and the left. The left wants to pretend that everything that happened prior to January 6th is non-existent, that the only thing that matters now and forever is January 6th. While the right wants to say, well, listen, if two wrongs make a right, is essentially what the right is saying. They're like, and we've heard this argument before. We've heard this, like with the trucker protests. I said the same thing. People, all the truckers were pissed off that they got citations for blocking roadways because they're like, during BLM protests, they didn't block any roadways. It doesn't matter who they choose to enforce the law on. Is it flawed? Absolutely. Is it wrong that they seemingly are going after anyone that was even present at the January 6th, anywhere near the Capitol? Is it wrong? 100%. But did they still break the law? You can't say, well, just because they're patriots, the fact that they broke the law doesn't matter. No, that's not how it works. And again, I ask you to look at any of the riots we saw in prior to January 6th. All the riots we saw, if they were not carrying Black Lives Matter flags and holding signs saying all cops are B-words, would you still be, and they were carrying American flags and wearing Trump hats, would you still call that a riot? And I can almost guarantee that you would. And if you would call that a riot, then you must call what happened on January 6th a riot. And you must call those people rioters, right? The people that actually committed crimes. And again, we're not talking about the people that walked through open doors, guided in by police. We're not talking about any of that. We're talking about the people that smashed out windows. We're talking about the people that when they had the loudspeakers going and everyone could say they didn't hear the loudspeakers, we heard them on the live streams. I heard them with my own ears. I heard them over the live streams, over the yells, over the chants, that when they declared it a riot, we heard it. They don't, and Typhoid Larry said they have that right. If you're talking about the right to protest after a riot's been declared, no, you don't. No, you don't. You don't have the right to be in a restricted area. You don't. As much as everyone wants to say, they don't. God Rides a Harley said, Steve, here's my problem. Many were arrested for illegal parading and are still held in jail. That is false. Look at and again, many were arrested for illegally parading or standing on Capitol grounds or interfering with the Senate things. Yes, we know that. Those people are not the ones in jail. The ones that are in jail currently, and I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure I'm not. The ones that are currently in jail that are remanded, still facing trial, those people are all charged with acts of violence or going through into the Capitol. And I'll make this, and I'll say this for the record across the board. I don't believe that any of the people that are currently facing charge are receiving our constitutionally protected due process. They're not receiving it. If you look at any of their court documents, the prosecution is literally introducing evidence to the court that the defense is not even allowed to look at because they're stating it's classified. You know, the defense and one person who's being charged recently asked for access to the 48,000 hours of footage that was released to Tucker Carlson, and a judge declined that. The prosecution actually fought against it. So they're not receiving due process. We all know that, okay? And that is inherently wrong. Do I believe that they should all be let out of jail? No. Do I believe they should all be afforded bail to get out of jail? Yes, 100%. Every single person. Because listen, and here's the thing, everyone wants to compare the January 6th detainees to the lack of people that are currently in custody for rioting in Portland, or even let's look at Atlanta. That's a more recent example. All the people in Atlanta charged with domestic terrorism, they're not charged on the federal level. So they're only charged on the state level for domestic terrorism. That's why a lot of them are currently already out on bail. But you can't compare the two because we already knew everyone that was involved in January 6th, everyone that was in DC, everyone that wears a conservative label, everyone that calls themselves the conservative knows that when it comes to political rallies or speaking your mind politically, you already know that you will not be treated fairly when it comes to law enforcement. You just won't. We don't control the courts. We don't control the prosecutions. We don't control the police. We don't, and to be honest, we didn't do enough. When all the police were coming under attack in America, where were yeah, sure, there was a group of patriots in Portland that stood out there until the police finally asked them not to anymore because it was causing so much violence when Antifa came. But people didn't come out wildly in support. Sure, I was thinking about this today when I was driving back from the dentist. I was thinking about it today. Someone said, what about Enrique from the Proud Boys? Should he be allowed out of jail? He's a confidential informant. He's in a class of his own. Okay. I don't like Enrique Tarrio. And I know a lot of the PBs are like, oh, he's a great boy. The dude was a confidential informant for the feds. If that's any sign that this whole thing was a big ass setup in the first place, I don't know what else is. Enrique Tarrio, the president of the Proud Boys, who's now being charged with sedition, I believe. He's one of like 22 people being charged with plotting this whole demise. He received the plans. And I said this from the beginning. Many of you guys know this. And remember, he got the 1776 returns documents. And as soon as that was put out, I made a video talking about how that was a government agent that gave him those forms. I knew it with 100% certainty that it was a government agent. Well, guess what it was? It was that whole document was written by a CIA agent. That's publicly out there now. So it's not, but I knew it from the very beginning. But you can't impress on me that the FBI handler who was handling Enrique Tarrio, who was handling him when he was an FBI informant, didn't raise alarm bells when this guy became the national president of the Proud Boys, who long before January 6th were labeled erroneously as a white supremacist group. You can't tell me that everybody in the FBI didn't already know about his background snitching on people. Everybody knows that. You know, someone said he got set up. Maybe he did get set up. But as far as I'm concerned, he was an FBI informant. you know, he wasn't even there. I mean, he wasn't even there. Someone said, as I recall, Steve was the president of Enrique's fan club at one time. Yeah, until I found out that he was a confidential informant for the FBI. Until actually, I didn't mind Enrique until January 5th. I'll be honest with you. Until January 5th. Fern, are you saying that Enrique Tarrio wasn't a confidential informant? Because that's already known. But the reason why I lost respect for Enrique Tarrio happened on January 5th when he was arrested for carrying an extended magazine. And then or January 4th, whenever that was, right? And then the leader of this group who was going to march through D.C. was arrested for carrying something that he knew he wasn't allowed to have in D.C. He's not a stupid person. He knew he wasn't allowed to have it in D.C. He was arrested, held for a couple of days, released prior to January 6th, and told that he needed to leave the city. The whole thing, at that point, I was like, what the like, if I was in that group of people, I would have been like, I'm not going anywhere near DC. But they didn't have, they didn't think that way. And the whole thing just doesn't make any sense. I thought, and here's the thing. I know plenty of Proud Boys, or knew plenty of Proud Boys that were Proud Boys prior to January 6th. They weren't white supremacists. As much as the mainstream media wants to label them as such, they weren't. In fact, everybody that watches my show knows one Proud Boy who literally, it would be quite difficult for him to hate white people or to hate everybody that's not white, considering he's not white. It'd be very odd. It's very odd that Enrique Tarrio, an Afro-Cuban, was the leader of a white supremacist group. It doesn't make a lot of sense. But that's the truth, guys. People, even the left that there are people on the left that watch that don't comment. You guys have to look rationally at it. And the people on the right have to do the same thing. Because it's very easy to say that everybody that was involved in January 6th was wronged. Okay, it's super easy to say that. And if you find yourself comparing January 6th to any of the riots or anything else and using that as justification, or the lack of response to the riots in Portland or Denver as justification for why you believe the people that were arrested and charged, most of them that were arrested, and make no mistake, they charged people like they charged the guy from Buffalo. I think they dropped his charges or he pled out. Remember, I made a whole video about it because they kept him under surveillance for 2 months for non-violent charges of walking through open doors. He walked into the Capitol, he took a picture, and he walked out. They sat on him in the Buffalo area for 2 months under constant surveillance before they sent a SWAT team into his house at 6 o'clock in the morning for misdemeanor charges. Ever since that, like there's people like that where they walk through the open doors by the police. They didn't go into the Capitol thing. They just went through the rotunda where there was a shit ton of cops and then turned and walked out. All of those people should not have been charged. They were guided in there by the police. Nobody can say they weren't because it's on video. That's not, when I think of January 6th rioters, I think of the people who entered the building through broken doors. I think of the people who entered the building through broken windows. I think of the people who broke the windows. I think of the people who were spraying cops in the face. I think of the people that were engaged in that kind of behavior as the rioters. You know, and I'm a firm believer, like, listen, if you stand by your decision to do that and you feel it was your patriotic duty, then why are you complaining about it now? Do you know what I mean? And that's the truth. That's the truth. And I know a lot of people can't see it that way. It's just, it's like cut and dry for so many people. Oh, they had American flags, so they're patriotic. They're patriots. It's not how it works. It's not how it works. Brandon Straka was on Capitol grounds, okay? He was on Capitol grounds. Should he have been charged? No. He shouldn't have been charged. But he also shouldn't have gave all this information according to the affidavit. He could say he didn't do it. He testified in front of the January 6th committee. Yeah, I said a million times I would testify in front of the January 6th committee about what I saw. The only question I would answer or ask is, where is Nancy Pelosi? Why aren't you asking about Nancy Pelosi over and over and over? Or I wouldn't say shit. I wouldn't volunteer a bunch of information, whether it's readily known or not at all, which a lot of these people did. You know, it pisses me off. And I watch the show and I think about everything that is going on. And I listen to all the social media that are like, you know, even the Tucker Carlson thing. Tucker Carlson was trying to minimize it. And I understand what he was trying to minimize. He was trying to play off of the left's narrative that the left is trying to say that the whole thing, it's the worst day in our history, blah, blah, blah. It's an attack that'll go down in history. We're going to learn about it. Like all that stuff. No, it wasn't. It was a riot. It was a riot that has happened since in cities across America. And it's a riot that happened long before. That's plain and simple. That's what it was. You know, and the sad part to me is now, and this is going to piss a lot of you guys off too, but this is the truth. This is the truth. The police officers that took their own lives. Why are all the politicians elevating them, but not just the Capitol Police, but not the police officers that do it all the time? Not the firefighters who do it all the time, not the soldiers who do it all the time. And I'll be honest with you. We lose 20, I think the number's down now, veterans a day. My brother is one of them that we lose to suicide. You're not hearing them. You didn't hear Chuck Schumer say shit about it today. You didn't hear McCarthy say anything about it today. You didn't hear anybody talk about it. And it happens all the time. Police officers are losing their life. Veterans are losing their lives. You know, and it's disgusting that what they're doing is they're using the pain of a group of people to try to push an agenda by lying to everybody. By lying. And that's the truth. You know? And I'll be honest. The video, if they were going to release a video to the public, they should have released it to the public. The Tucker Carlson thing, I shat on that right from the beginning because I'm like, he is going to just put forth his version of it. Just like the left did for 2 years. The left controlled the video. They controlled the narrative. They put their version forward. Chuck Schumer and McCarthy and all these people that are out there or McCarthy's not saying shit, but Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, they're all getting up there and saying, we support the police. It should have never even been about the police. And I know they did this whole thing. It's already been disproven that Brian Sitnick was killed by the protesters. We already know that. Why Kevin McCarthy or why Tucker Carlson had to do a whole segment to try to disprove it when we already knew that. You know, and see, this is a problem with mainstream media. Mainstream media caters to their audience. That is the wrong thing to do. You need to cater to the people that, when I say cater, I mean, deliver content to the people that don't like you. Do you know what I mean? Like, Tucker Carlson last night could have said, okay, listen, in January 6th hearing #1, they showed this, this, and this video. Here is the before and after of that video. They lied to you. And it's not addressed to patriots or Tucker Carlson's normal viewers. If I was Tucker Carlson, I would say, listen, tag all your liberal friends, get them to watch this video. I'm going to disprove what they said, because until you actually get a full understanding, and you can make the argument that Tucker Carlson right now is trying to undo the damage that has been done by the left, right? By countering their narrative with another skewed narrative, it does the same thing. You know what I mean? It is countering their narrative. And I just, man, my belief is that Tucker missed it. James said, you keep saying we already knew that, but he's playing for those who don't already know. No, because the people that don't already know about Brian Sitnick, the people that don't already know about the fucking horned guy, the people that don't already know about those people are not watching Tucker Carlson. And they're not going to watch Tucker Carlson. Do you understand? They're not going to, because and to be honest, if I was a left-leaning person, I wouldn't either. Because he's not presenting a narrative that he's countering a narrative instead of putting forth what is real and what truly happened. And that's the problem, and it's frustrating to me. It's frustrating because I watch it and I see how everyone is so passionate about it on Twitter, but and on other social media sites, and everyone's like, oh, he destroyed the leftist ideology. He destroyed this. He destroyed that. What did he destroy? The only thing that's being destroyed is America, is our future, any hope to get past this and move on. Because all he's doing now is pushing forth the same agenda or the opposite of what the left was saying, which doesn't cater to what actually happened that day. Because if you want to know what actually happened that day, you have to look at everything they're not talking about. Who was involved in the decision planning to allow that to happen? We could all say, oh, it was Nancy Pelosi, right? It was Chief Sund. It was all these people. But the problem I have is that when people are acting like we are beating the left, and I've said this a lot lately, right? Because I feel like that's what it's about now. It's not about doing what's best for America or Americans. It's just about beating the left. Whether it is the narrative around the January 6th thing, whether it's about CRT, whether it's about trans issues, whether it's about the economy or the border, it's not about actually dealing with any of the things. It's about countering a narrative, not to show what's really going on, to disprove the other party. And that's the problem. That's the problem that I have with where we are as a country as a whole. That's why I feel like this utter frustration about what's happening. Because I'm like waiting for people like the big talking heads to kind of wake up. Billy Mack said, you don't support exposing the lies of January 6th because it will cause no divisiveness? No. What lie did he expose last night? Nothing that wasn't already exposed. Don't you see? Don't you understand that? We knew that Brian Sitnick was not killed by a fire extinguisher. They lied. We already knew that. It was public information. The left had access to that information. Showing a video, showing him working, didn't do anything because we knew he already went back to work. Everybody knew it. If you actually consume real media, the only way you didn't know that is if you stay glued to Fox News and CNN. If you try to consume any other form of media whatsoever, you already knew that. You already knew that the Capitol Police were escorting people through. Why? Because there's been dozens and dozens of videos showing the very same thing. The very same thing across the board. And that's the truth. Wednesday Adams, again, said we knew that, other people didn't. But again, you guys have to understand that the frustration I have is you say we already knew that, we already knew that, we already knew that. But the other people didn't. Who are the other people? The left, the people that already got a narrative that they're not going to steer clear of. And I know this because I was talking to a liberal several months ago, and I've said this numerous times to you guys. I was talking to a liberal several months ago, and they were talking about the Trump's actions inside the limo after he got done with the speech, right? You had that woman that got up and testified that Donald Trump, president at that time, grabbed a Secret Service agent by the throat. Remember? That was disproven. She lied under oath. It was disproven by the Secret Service agent who apparently was choked. He was willing to testify it never happened. The Secret Service actually put out a press release about it. And the other guy that was in the Secret Service vehicle as well, the head Secret Service officer, also said it never happened. And he too was willing to testify in front of the January 6th committee. That all came out really quickly after that. And it was reported by everybody. It was reported by left-leaning. It was reported by the right. Didn't matter. I was talking to someone that is very much on the left, right? A family member of mine. And he was mentioning that President Trump grabbed a Secret Service agent. And I said, that's been disproven. And he said, no, it hasn't. I showed him that it was disproven. And he said, it doesn't matter to me. I still believe her. And I'm like, how do you believe something that is false? And he goes, because that's what everybody is reporting. So you get what I'm saying? So these people on the left are conditioned just as much as the people on the right are conditioned. It doesn't change the fact that when the left-wing media puts out a particular narrative, the right-wing media is putting out a particular narrative to counter the left-wing narrative, not to give you the truth. And that is what I'm trying to say, is that the narrative that we're getting from the right wing isn't the actual truth. It is just mainly there to counter the narrative that is coming from the left. And that's my problem. And you don't get anywhere from it. The only thing that happens is more divisiveness. Do you know what? Does that make sense? Maybe that was the easiest way to say it, but at least it was to me. We're all being programmed, and everything that's being relayed out. And a lot of Billy Max, again, said a lot of what Tucker aired wasn't allowed to be viewed before. Yeah, video, but the context of that video was already out. And if you want to say, well, we didn't know about that, that's because you didn't do enough to actually find out what happened, whether you're on the right or the left. Does that make sense? And that's my frustration with this whole thing, is you're not seeing people. Have you, let me ask you a question, right? Let me ask you a question. Has anybody seen any political figure, whatever, anybody on social media, any videos, talk about how we move beyond this, how we exist as a country together, right? Have you heard anybody in the past 24 hours talk about that? Because I listened to numerous conservative podcasts today, hoping that anybody would brush on it. And no, we didn't hear any of it. Nobody's doing it. They're all talking about this. We got them. We proved that they're a lion. Ray Epps needs to be in jail. No shit. We already know that. We knew the guy was guilty. We knew he lied. We knew all the same information. Nobody is talking about how we get beyond this, how we work with the left. It's always about beating them. And to the left, make no mistake, it's always about beating the right. And that's the problem. Is nobody wants to actually care about the future of this country. And so when Tucker Carlson is releasing more of the same, I don't give a fuck if the video's never been released, because the content of the video has. The knowledge has already got out there. And that's the problem. It's not doing what we need as a country in unifying it. Look at what happened today. Look at half of the Senate, half of the House hearings and Senate and press conferences and everything. We're all about these videos and talking about how it does damage to it. Chuck Schumer is like, this does damage. They need to take him off the air. They're not talking about how it does damage to our country and does nothing to bring us together. You know what I mean? Then I guess that's my frustration. That's my frustration. And it goes far beyond January 6th. January 6th is the current topic, but it goes far beyond that. It's the transgender shit and all the stuff, the commentary this weekend at CPAC. It's been, and just again, how people can take a particular comment Michael Knowles saying we must exterminate transgenderism. He didn't say we must exterminate transgender people. He said exterminate transgenderism. But what did the left-wing media do? They said he wants to kill transgender people, and they put that out. And then the right counters the narrative and says, no, but you know, if we're going to go down that road, we're going to go this. And it just spirals into this big, you know, spiderweb of nonsense. John said, who do you think is causing this divide? Who lies the most and who tries to? It's both. It's both because because we elect leaders on both sides of the aisle in the hopes that they're going to, I'm not a Democrat. I've never voted Democrat in my life. So I can only guess that when they cast a vote for someone, they're hoping that person is actually going to help our country. Do you know what I mean? Like truly believe that person, the person who they are casting the vote for, is going to truly help their country. Because that's why I vote. You know, I personally do not believe any Democrat that's in office right now truly wants to help our country, but that's my belief because I hold the values I do. But I'm also a firm believer that I don't think there's a Republican that's currently in office that really wants to help our country. I think they're all there for personal enrichment. I think they're all there to keep pushing this divide. I think they're all there pushing for war with Russia or China or whoever the hell they can get us into a conflict with. But I don't believe these politicians are out there. And I'm starting to believe the same thing about influencers. I'm starting to think the same thing about the conservative political commentators because all you're hearing is the same back and forth. The same shit that Fox News and CNN do back and forth. They just argue all the time. Do you know what I mean? And that's the thing. Someone said, I can't and won't forgive the left when anyone who voted for Trump, a racist, homophobe, etc., and then the ones who said the ones who don't get the vaccine should be lost. Yeah, again, that has nothing to do with what I'm saying now. If you're voting that way, then you shouldn't even vote because you shouldn't be voting for who's going to be the best at repairing this country and working with people back and forth. That's what it should be. And I wish I had like enough of a bullhorn and enough of a reach. Like I wish that I was on Timcast every single night and we only interviewed political people because I'd be like, the question I would ask every politician, and I say Timcast because he's the biggest conservative show. I probably could not be on that show because I'm a hothead and he would piss me off. But if I interviewed politicians, and maybe this is why they won't come on my show, my first question would be, do you not understand that everybody in your district is your constituent, not just the people who voted for you? And I firmly believe that the politicians don't. They don't believe that. And so they only have to push a particular agenda. And that's why our country is getting back into this muddy place. You know, it's frustrating. It's frustrating to me, man. It really is. But you know what's not frustrating to me? Did you guys see, many of you guys asked me to put the Chef Boy Are We Screwed hoodies and t-shirts and everything up. There's a link in your chat. I just put it in there right now. If you click on that link, I put 5. I put t-shirts, I put hoodies, I put a couple of long sleeve t-shirts up there, and a insulated mug and a regular mug, I think. You can get those. And here's, as a reminder, guys, everything in our store tonight and tonight only is 20% off across the board. If you've been waiting to buy a Patriotic As F ammo can, 20% off tonight. You don't need to do anything. No code. Just go check out. If you've been waiting to try our new blueberry cobbler coffee roast, either whole bean or ground, order it tonight. 20% off. You know, there's everything. Even the coffee bug out bag is 20% off today. That's a huge saving because that thing is $250. But, you know, you get out there, buy something, you know, buy the t-shirts, add hoodies. Yeah, many of you guys wanted the Chef Boy Are We Screwed hat. And I know you can't really see it, but that's a picture of Joe Biden. And that's why it says Chef Boy Are We Screwed, because it's got Joe Biden. You know, it's funny. Leon Scott said, sell, sell, sell. Yeah, if you notice, Leon, this is how I make a living. So every now and then I'll rant for, 48 minutes, and then I'll plug, our sponsor, or I'll plug our store, who is our sponsor as well. So I have to do that because that is how we're able to do this, because we don't get monetized on social media that much. So you may not like it, but it is what we have to do. And plus, when you say you can't do it, or when Len Scott says buy, or sell, or whatever he says, you have to understand that actually helps more people, because then they get pissed at you for saying something stupid, and they're like, fine, I'll go buy a t-shirt or something like that. Normally we would do something. Someone said, yeah, you'll be as like Tucker Carlson for so many minutes to 17 now. People, and then be smart and expect to buy products. Maybe if you follow proper side, you'd be better. Dude, you don't even fucking speak English, bro. Like, what is this fucking sentence? Like, come on, at least take some time to type out a comment so it's readable. I think what you're saying is, oh, everything I said is mute because now I'm selling t-shirts or something, and we're all going to go watch Tucker Carlson. Yes, I'm going to watch Tucker Carlson tonight. Or I'm going to listen to it. I'm not going to watch it. Just like everybody else is, because this is what I do for a living. I comment on the news. I comment on all of this in hopes that just one or two of you will listen and understand. I don't want you to agree. I just want you to listen and understand. And if you're on the left, that's what I want you to do. Just listen or understand. Len Scott said, okay, so do you have an answer for Trump's indictment when Fannie Willis is sending his indictment in the mail? Okay, buddy. That's not how indictments work, especially for the president of the United States. So again, see, this is a perfect example of a typical leftist or Democrat or something. This Len Scott, he doesn't understand. It's like they're literally incapable of listening. And it sucks. Everything I just said went on Len's deaf ears. And if you are deaf, Len, I apologize. I can't sign that. My only sign language would be the middle finger, so I won't do that. But do you know what I mean? Someone said, how about profanity every other word? I think I've actually done pretty good on the profanity during this show, haven't I? I've been trying. Leanne Smith said, Steve, watch it with us. I can't watch Tucker. Pretty please. I can't. We can't live stream Tucker Carlson. I think we'd get taken down. And then Len Scott again tried to write English and horror. I mean, say you didn't disagree that there isn't an indictment coming for Trump. Thank you. What is that sentence, dude? Like, seriously, try. I know Common Core effed you up, but just try to type and say something in English, please. It's like my 6th grader or my 7-year-old, whatever grade he's in. My 7-year-old literally writes better than you. Like, that was horrible. Ay. Triple negatives, I know. And then someone called him out for his spelling, and he said, it's called spell check. Well, you're not using it, buddy. Because here's the way spell check works. Spell check will write a word because you misspelled the original word. So if the word that it writes is not the right word, that means that you still you spelled the wrong word the first time. Come on, bro. Come on, man. Get good, bro. Get good. Yeah. I don't know. I wish I would live stream Tucker Carlson if I wouldn't get my video taken down, but I would get it taken down. What part of the answer do you not understand? I put it out there. No Republican should have taken high ground and been bigger party. And look, we will work together and help all Americans. Yeah, I don't know what that means either. Yeah, I listen. I've long said now for several months that I am no longer a Republican. I am a conservative, because I'm not going to align myself with this Republican Party that's consistently and constantly lying to everybody else. You know what I mean? And lying to everybody about everything. Yeah, sure, they could hold a hearing about the border. Nothing's getting done. Have they introduced any legislation to try to affect any change on the border? Have they, they don't. Have they passed any legislation? Have they called out anybody? Sure, they all are doing the talking points, all the promises they want. Do you know why Kevin McCarthy released this video to Tucker Carlson? It's because the rhinos that were holding out on appointing him speaker said they wanted him to release it to Tucker Carlson. And he said, fine, I'll release it just to Tucker Carlson. And he's not going to release it to anybody else because, again, he knows that Tucker Carlson is not going to frame it the way that America truly needs to see. I didn't say wants to see. I said needs to see. No, what he's going to do is they're going to frame it on a right point of view. And that's the problem. Kellem said it was for railroad. Gotcha. That's why it's hard, because you guys want to see what I see. Watch. This is what I see. So as you guys type and all that stuff, I see the chat from all of them, or I guess it'll work eventually, maybe on the screen over there. So once everybody starts typing, I see the chat from all different all of the different ones. So you see YouTube here. Well, now it's not showing Facebook, but that's the problem. When I do the chat, it just goes and I keep missing it. I can't see every single comment. See, it's like Twitch, Facebook, that's why it's difficult to do. But hey, we do everything. Again, everything in our store, and this is good till 8 o'clock in the morning. You don't need a code. You don't need anything. Everything in our store is 20% off. So any hoodie is 20% off. All of these new Boy Are We Screwed hoodies, they're all 20% off. All of our t-shirts are 20% off. Our Patriotic as F ammo can bundles, all 20% off. Blueberry Cobbler, 20% off. So this price, take 20% off of it. And you can add it all in there. Any coffee you order is likely going to ship tomorrow. Most of the Patriotic boxes, I ordered books. If they come tomorrow, they'll all go, or they'll go out the next day. Hoodies are, instantaneous. They're printed on demand. So today is the day. If you guys want to order, if you've been waiting, look at that. Lori just bought the Boy Are We Screwed long sleeve. Nobody bought the one I ordered for myself, because I forgot what they're called. They're called something specific. Like if I put this link in here, will it take me to the page? Yeah, these. I forgot what Raglan jersey. Are you familiar with Raglan jerseys? Here, watch this. Bam. That one in the middle there. That's called a Raglan jersey, apparently. This one. Can you see my mouse? Look at that. We're all high tech. Sweaters, thermoses, the long sleeve. But I ordered one of these because it reminds me. I was telling my kid I used to really like rugby shirts. The old rugby shirts that nobody really likes, that I used to like all the time. Love those shirts. Raglan sleeves, yeah. What else? Someone said, Steve, there's only 500 people watching. What's the problem? Yeah, I don't know. It's actually 430, not including Rumble. I don't know how many are on Rumble right now. 70. So yeah, 500 people watching. So I get it wrong in the chat. That's why I did this. So now anyone that's like, oh, does Steve read the chat? I'll be like, yeah, look, just watch. I'll keep it up, and then you can see. But that's the only problem. When I switch off, I have to go back to the other window. But again, everything in our store, 20% off. All of the patriotic boxes, all of everything. I just hope, I didn't check, but I hope it doesn't give you 20% off if you're doing any of the subscriptions. I think I made it so it doesn't, but I hope it doesn't, because I can't afford that. But Zach bought some stuff and left a tip, so I appreciate that. You bought some French vanilla ground coffee. Hell yeah. Long Island in the house. Awake, not woke. Someone said, how will Nancy Pelosi select asses cover their asses now? I don't know. David Perdue said, you want to hear how the dentist pissed you off. The dentist didn't, man. They were really good today. I threw them for a loop because when I was at the dentist today, I was having the cleaning first, right? And it wasn't like a normal cleaning. It's like a deep cleaning. So they like shoot this jet stream of water so far up your gums it makes your eyes water. Yeah. So that's what I had done first. And then I went in and they were supposed to be working on, I don't know, 5 or 6 teeth. I had like 5 or 6 little cavities, none that were super important, but a bunch of little cavities. And I know what the treatment plan is. So I know I told them I broke the treatment plan and I said, I want you to do all the cavities first. And they're like, well, that doesn't really make sense. And I said, I don't care. I'm the customer. I get to make the rules. And then when I was thinking about it, while I was getting the jet stream, shoved up my gums, I started thinking about it and I was like, that doesn't make any sense because I'm effectively paying for, them to do a cavity and then to do a crown on that tooth when I like for the upper teeth, when I get the other bridge on this side. And so the dentist came in after and he's like, all right, so you ready? And kind of did crack the finger. And I said, listen, I gotta run something by you. And I said, it doesn't make sense. And he's like, yeah, we told you it doesn't make sense. And I'm like, okay, this is what I want to do. So today I just want to, because I need a partial denture for the bottom because I have no bottom back teeth. I have these teeth, but I have no bottom back teeth just because my teeth have been horrible for a long time. And so the dentist is like, okay. And then they did do one cavity, but I was like, I toughed it out and didn't get any Novocaine for it. So, because I'm a badass and I'll never do that again. It wasn't that bad. He's like, I'll be honest. They said I wouldn't feel it. I fucking felt it. He's like, you'll be okay. It's just one. And I was like, all right. And I was like, he's like, yeah, you probably won't even feel it. And I didn't feel it at first when he started drilling, but then I felt it. But at that point, it was too late because he was almost done. So I'm like, just deal with it. And so they filled that one. And so then in April, I'm going to have them do the big bridge on this whole side. And it's going to be expensive, but it's going to be good. And then, so let me tell you what we're doing in April, because I'm getting that dental work at the end of April. However, I am very, 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 very much going to try to get my wife to do a show with me in April. And she will have to, okay? Because we are going on, I think it's like 8 days, an 8-day RV trip. We're going from here, West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina, maybe South Carolina, or North Carolina, then Virginia, and then back. And we're driving pretty much every single day, 200 miles a day, except we're doing 2 days in North Carolina at a campsite there. And then we're going to do 2 days for the kids in Southern Virginia at like a kids campsite. So what I'm going to try to do with my wife is do like a fireside chat with her, because we had a conversation today about transgender stuff. And I mean, granted, she's so fucking weird about like, listen, I'm married to her and everything. I love her a lot, but some of her views just don't make any fucking sense at all. So what I want to try to do is get her some, like, just make Long Islands and shit for her and get her drunk. And then we do like a fireside live stream every night. I'm going to try to do it. I really am going to try. So, but yeah, we're going to be doing that. At least I'll be live. One of the things I'm trying to do, guys, is if you guys all go and make big purchases tonight, starting off slow, but if you go and you buy hoodies and all that, you are directly contributing to all of the little things that we're trying to do. I've got like a $800 purchase plus another $1,500 coffee purchase I have to do. And then if I can get everything I need to do, I'm going to get the Starlink for RVs. But I can't do it yet. I can write that off as a business expense, but I can't do it yet because I have to make sure I have everything for the coffee bug out bags and all that completely done. But that's the goal. I may have to like put a hidden camera. She'll probably figure it out after the first couple of days, but I may have to put a hidden camera. Do you know what I mean? So Eric Rahman said, I'll make a purchase if your wife agrees to do a show. She'll never agree to do a show. I'm probably going to have to hide it, like put a hidden camera. Like she doesn't, because she's a teacher, guys. You got to understand that. And all of her students know that I do the show because my son was bragging to everybody. And they all, so they all know I do it. But if you make a purchase tonight, you're helping to get the Starlink, the RV Starlink. And I got to order it soon. Like now, probably. April, how long did it take for you to get the Starlink? I don't know. But the RV Starlink, it says it's available. I just don't know how how long it takes for them to shoot it or to ship it. I can't, like, they have the really nice one, the in motion one. I can't afford that. That's $2,000. The monthly cost is the same, but the in motion one I would really love to get, but we would need a lot of hoodie purchases tonight. It took April. You were on the wait list. Oh, okay. See, there's no wait list for me. I could order it right now. So I don't know. I mean, if we have a lot of sales, if any of our big purchasers want to go and make purchases again today, Pure Truth Coffee all night long, 20% off everything automatic. You don't need any codes. You don't need anything. It's 20% off automatically through the site. Buy the Patriotic SF ammo can bundle. Those are our best ones. Our coffee bug out bags are going to be pretty sick too. But yeah, let me find I'll put the link for the Patriotic SF ammo cans because these ones are really cool. You get a really nice whiskey glass in it. The whiskey glass has it. Do you want to see one? I'll show you real quick. So you get one of these whiskey glasses in each one, and lifetime warranties. Oh, they added those. So these ones are the Constitution, and then some. We have some that are the Declaration of Independence, and this is a veteran-owned company too, American veteran-owned company that we use for these. You get one of those, you get books, patches, stickers, hats, all that stuff in the Patriotic ammo can. I'll put that link in the chat. And we ship those pretty quick. You could do a subscribe and save on that, but you can't use the 20% off coupon. However, you get your own 20% off coupon for life doing that as well. You can do the subscribe and save. It gets you free shipping on all of those bundles. Plus, you get the 11th and 12th month free and a 20% off lifetime coupon. Because if you've been watching me for a long time, I don't do the 20% off coupons much. So you should order that bundle because you'll get those. I have 8 more of those. I'm going to order some of the Declaration of Independence. I like the Declaration ones better. I think the etching is a little bit darker. So I kind of like that a little bit better myself. However, I'm going to take off now and drive home for the night. If you guys want to buy that, again, 20% off everything in the store, including those Patriotic as F bundles. So go over there, support the show by contributing that way. It's very helpful. And I will see all of you guys tomorrow. And I suppose we'll cover the second half of Tucker today. But I will see all of you guys tomorrow several times, I'm sure. Because today I think I made 3 videos. Tomorrow will be just as many. All right, guys, we'll see you.